My name is Father Pat Murphy. I'm director of the Casa del Migrante in Sesfon, our school for migrants.
How severe has been the impact of the cutting or suspension of the USAID agency here in Tijuana?
Well, it's been drastic for us. We did not expect this. We were expecting we'd have a lot of people and we'd have to take care of a lot of people. We're not expecting that there would be the massive cuts in USAID and other organizations that have been helping us for years have told us that everything is frozen for 3 months, and that means we're frozen as well, because we have to have a vision beyond 3 months of how we're going to survive.
How this was tied to the funding of USAID and the activities that you guys do here?
Okay, some of the ways that we received help was for support for salaries. We were going to have like 5 or 6 salaries covered by different projects connected with these cuts, and now we're told we don't have that money anymore. Some were projects for food and things like gas, and again that's been cut off, so we have to search for money to pay for these expenses.
How dire is the situation for the shelter and for the center of training retreats?
Well, it's dire. You know, we're in the middle of March, and if not $1 entered again into any of our accounts, in 2 months we would have to start laying off people, or maybe close the doors of the casa. It is very drastic, because I know what the numbers are and how far we can go with these numbers. That's why we're looking for alternative funding to get us through the rest of this year.
Many people in the U.S. will think that, or what the people with the U.S., with the current government is saying, that they are cutting waste. They're cutting expenses that are being abused. But you said that even when this is getting here outside the U.S., it will have an impact on the U.S., right?
Yes, it's not waste. We're here dealing with people who are returning, maybe being deported, maybe come from the south of Mexico, realizing that they cannot cross the border. And so we make this a house of hope so that people could maybe stay here a few days, get a job, start working, start changing from the American dream, maybe the Tijuana dream. Maybe I'll stay here for a few years and make a living, take care of my family. So I think when they cut these funds, they don't realize if we close tomorrow, where are all these people going to go? They'll either be on the streets or they're going to try to cross. So this will affect illegal immigration in a big way.
Some Americans will think, isn't this a responsibility of the Mexican government and none of the U.S. government?
Yes, it is a responsibility of the Mexican government, but for many years now they haven't accepted any responsibility. They haven't helped us, they haven't supported us. And I think that somehow they're receiving some kind of financial aid from the U.S. government so that they can control immigration. Well, part of controlling immigration is giving people a dignified place to live. When they come back from the United States, after being there 30 years and paying their remittances, sending millions of dollars to Mexico over the years, and now being told we have nothing to offer you, just a little card with the 2,000 pesos. That's not enough. We need to offer them a chance for a new life. And here at the Casa, we offer people chances for a new life.
You, besides being a shelter, you're operating the CESFON, which is the kind of like a trades training center, right?
Yeah, it's a training center. We opened it 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the concept was this, to give newly arrived migrants or deportees a place where they could learn a new trade and maybe get a better job with this trade. So we offer them things like English, Spanish. English, why? Because some deportees arrive who don't speak much Spanish. Barbering, soldering, electricity, decoration with balloons, to do things for parties, computers, basic computer and programs like Excel, so people could have these new possibilities to get a better job here in Mexico.
You watch the news, they see that there's nobody trying to go across illegally, according to the U.S. officials. So why is still necessary? You have so few people Why is this so important?
Well, we have few people. We have 60 people. We also take care of another 50 people who live in the community who were members of this casa. And we give them support, we give them food, we take care of the kids so they can go to work. So it becomes a real place of transition for those who stay here and for those who have been staying here. And so I think this is a vital center, be able to keep people off the streets, keep their kids in school, keep them motivated to do the best they can with what they've been received. So I think Casa del Migrante and Sesom, the school, are great centers to help people. They're community centers in many ways. And we're always adapting to the reality. And this is now, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or in 2 weeks. People are now being deported by plane to Tapachula. But there's not a need for millions of people in Tapachula. So they're going to start coming up to the north. And Tijuana is a natural place to come because there's work. Still a lot of tourism here, so people can get jobs. And so we want to be able to be that place where people can stay for the time they need to get a safe start and a new start in their life.
With your experience knowing this area of the border, we haven't seen the numbers that we were expecting, that many people were expecting in terms of people being deported from the U.S. Do you think that will change?
Well, I understand that President Trump is very upset, and that's why he's doing all these crazy things like sending Venezuelans to Salvador, but also sending them with $6 million to the government to take care of these people who are deported. And that's why he's opening up places, because he doesn't have the infrastructure to really do massive deportations. And so that's why you see cases of people being picked up more symbolically, because they had, I had a picture of a Gazan leader in their telephone, and that seems to be enough to deport somebody now. So it's leading him to do a lot of strange things. I think eventually he'll get his act together and he'll be able to deport a lot of people. I imagine it's very costly to deport people by plane to El Salvador. So there might arrive the day in which they don't have money and they say, okay, we'll just leave them in Tijuana, we'll leave them in Ciudad Juarez, we'll leave them in Nogales. Or the people will naturally continue to return to the border crossings.
Traditionally, you have been helped by not just the people from Tijuana, but people from across the border.
Yeah.
Have you seen any kind of health fatigue or assistance fatigue, as they call it sometimes?
No, the contrary. We're asking them to help more. We just sent out a fundraising letter, and people have already begun to respond. Because we're a Catholic institution, we're focusing on Lent, to do some sacrifice for Lent, and maybe send us part of that sacrifice. Almsgiving is part of sacrificing for Lent. So think about helping your brother or sister. If you help us, we can help them so that they don't have a need to cross the border. It's a win-win situation for everybody. And people have been very generous. People have been supporting us.
You are about to reach your 12th year, your second turn or second tour of duty here in Tijuana. How do you feel when you have seen so many changes? People coming from the north trying to go north, then people being deported in higher numbers, and you have been transforming this institution.
Yeah, it's, you always think, when are we going to be able to relax and say we got things under control, but that seems to never work, so it makes it really hard for me to say, I think I'll retire, I think I'll go to another assignment, because I want to leave the casa in good hands. And if I left tomorrow, you would need Jesus to come back to be able to fix this. So with him, we're doing a little work so that we can get back on our feet again and save as many people as we can. So I feel good. I feel optimistic that there's a lot of good people. We have a good team at the casa, and we're working together to make life the best as possible for the people we are here to serve.
Is it worth it to your trip, your staying here in Mexico?
Oh yeah, I think so. As somebody said, Father stays here because he drank the water from the well. As the saying goes. Maybe I didn't know about it, but here I am. Some days I think, it's time to go. Then I say, where would I go? What would I do? Where would I have all this excitement? you know, it's a place of a lot of excitement. So I keep going.
You have achieved a lot of goals. I mean, you have turned around this institution facing things that they were not supposed to be on the original perspective, so to speak, no?
Well, I do this following the inspiration of our founder, St. John Baptist Calabrini, who said we always have to adapt to the reality of the migrants who are in front of us. Not planning for those who were here 15 years ago, but you have to adapt to the reality in front of you. And this is the reality we have right now. And we're going to continue to adapt as best we can. And part of my work is to keep being the cheerleader for the team, for those who help us, and not get depressed. We have to stay positive. That's always the key.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.